If you want to interrupt, just let me know. Yeah. And when we're talking about employment, the relationship actually starts when, let's say, I want to become a staff at Cebu. Just for an example. That thing might even start when I bought my first beer. And I understand, oh, Cebu exists. Wow. And my friends start telling me that they get well paid there. Cebu doesn't know that I'm starting to like the company. Cebu has no idea. But already at school, we are talking, you see, Cebu, they pay well. And I'm asking, Miss, can I do my work-based experience at Cebu? Cebu doesn't know that you want to come and work there, that you're starting to like it. We have the TV showing board of directors every year getting huge sums, being partners of Cebu, being shareholders of Cebu. You say, wow, good company, doing well, even if the price of liquor, the price of everything is going up, still it sells well. Okay, I'm liking Cebu. Then one day, you saw an advert from Cebu and you applied. Now, did my relationship start when I applied to work with Cebu? No. But Cebu, maybe their relationship is starting with me right now. But for me, mentally, psychologically, there are things building up. Expectation building up from what I heard. I heard that they paid well. I heard that everybody gets 2 crates of beer at the end of the month. So I'm expecting. I hear that if, like, provide them the name of two potential customers, that I will get a discount or something. So I'm already having expectations. Then one day I get employed with Cebu. 2 months pass, 3 months pass, no crates. Now I'm starting to say that I'm being victimized. I'm the only one not getting crates. But no, where did you hear that? The boss calls me, Alain, I hear that you're leaving. Why? I'm the only one not getting crates now. But was that an agreement? That's not in the policy. The policy changed last year, and that thing is not there anymore. It was there 10 years ago, and I was building all my expectations based on something which has expired. It was an old policy. It was on very old facts which I was lingering on right now. So this is why intentions or expectations has to come out, has to be expressed. And it is the job of the boss or the HR to go inside the staff and get them to express, and vice versa. The boss has to express, because the boss or the HR, they are the voices of the company. They have to deal with the intentions. They have to deal with the expectations. So this is where we're going. So are the expectations of the employee same as the expectations of the employer? No. No. Expectations are not the same. An expectation of employee A and employee B might not even be the same. So we have to deal with people at this individual level. We cannot group or profile people and say they are all the same. We'll deal with all of them the same way. No. As we go, you will see that you have to tackle the expectations individually if you want an effective response or an effective performance in your workplace. Nuguze. Can the employment contract manage all our expectations? Or should it? As much as possible, it should. Managing it does not mean accepting everything and say, yeah, I'll give you everything you wish or everything you expect. But early in the relationship, you have to understand what you are offering and what you are able to give. Like my earlier example, when we were talking about me meeting somebody new, I meet my girlfriend for the first day. A lot of us, we wear our Sunday best. Hmm? We wear our best suit, all our jewelry. We rent a big car and we create a big expectation. Then after 6 months, we cannot keep up with the big image we gave on the first day. This is the same for employment. Yeah, we write a lot of things on the CV. I had that case last week. Somebody wrote that he was an expert in something. Then when you test, my friend told me it would be okay to write that I'm an expert. See, but once you tell me you're expert, I expect good performance at expert level. See, then as employer, I'm disappointed. As employee, if I tell you after probation, we have to let you go, you'll also be disappointed. See, so intention has to be weighed, expectation has to be weighed, has to be well understood. This made us, after I did that study, I had to even go further and recommend that we start doing psychometric testing in the military. Because everybody is saying that they are Rambo when they join. They can do this, that. Then you have a small situation and they crash. And you realize that somebody has a lot of social issues, mental issues, which that person is already on a 6-year contract with you. And that person has been traumatized during their youth and nobody has given him or her therapy. And now you have given them a weapon to work with. But how do you respond to that? So this is why we had to come up with all those psychometric testing and so on in the military after those kinds of studies. So those studies have benefited us, and I believe it can benefit a lot of other organizations because that's the society we live in are full of everything. So expectation is different from person to person, as we have highlighted. We all have different social, mental, physical constructs that we know. We all think differently. We all believe differently. We are all motivated by different things. We all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I won't go there. Some of us, the minute we satisfy a needs, we switch to the next. Sometimes we go back to the old ones, and so on. This is the complexity of human being. But all those complex human beings has to be managed in your workplace by each and every one of us. We have to manage them, especially if we want to become CEOs, if we want to become HR, we have to manage all those different individuals. This is where the real task starts. So the employment contract cannot manage expectations. When I'm talking about employment contracts, I'm talking about the physical contract. Just like if I'm talking about wedding, I'm talking about the wedding contract, what you sign. What you sign does not contain much. It does not talk about the bad habits of that somebody. It does not talk about the bank account of that somebody. It does not talk about the alcohol issues with that somebody, you see. But those are the major factors that you'll be dealing with in 6 months, in 1 year. Those are the things that really going to pop up and might change everything else. So we have to be very careful when we establish relationship. Otherwise, there will be a breach. And we realize that there are several reasons why there are breach in employment contract. And one of the biggest reasons from the research we did was that the psychological part or the mental part we are talking about, it was unknown. Not that it was good or that it was bad or that it contained this or that it contained that. No. It was just unknown. See, when I meet my girlfriend, I never told her I have another kid. I never told her. She never asked. I never told. I come to work here. I never told them that I have a criminal case pending. Even if I give you a character certificate, it's still not there. Because character certificate we publish what's already gone through court. But if I have a pending case, it won't appear. So I've been hiding things. your employee have a secret life that when it manifests in your workplace, it becomes very difficult for us to manage at this point of time. So this is what we are talking about. Expectations are not met. Expectations are known. Expectations are not expressed. And you feel it's unfair. I feel it's unfair. And motivation goes down. And it's a whole sequence. Okay, expectation, when it goes up, yeah? When it goes up, you have a lot of, at the beginning, people are motivated. You have a lot of expectation, you feel good. But then when it is not being fulfilled, it goes down and motivation goes down with it. And intention to live goes up. See, as we go deeply, you'll understand when I talk about this. What is this? Iceberg is very famous in a lot of studies because a lot of things that happens in life, you only see the surface part of it. The life we live, a lot of what we see is only the surface part of it. Just like we are right now, where everybody's happy. Nice clothes, everybody's smiling. But inside, we're thinking what to cook, where to go, all the issues at home, the good, the bad, the plans, and there's a lot of things going on inside. So that iceberg model has been used to explain the complexity of employee-employer relationship. So what has been documented is that 90% of what goes on in the head or in the heart or in the mind of the employee is unknown, and only 10% is known in general. So what we are managing is only 10% of that person. And that's a big issue. If I say I'm your boss, but I'm managing only 10% of you, am I in control? Not really. Because as psychologists, we want to be in control. No? Or control is not good. We have to be in control. If you want to see power, there's different sorts of power. If we want to express power or use power to our advantage as a boss or as a manager, we must be in control. Otherwise, so many things will happen and we will not know, like we've just seen before. So, what we are saying, the employment contract is the 10% part, which is on the surface, which is written, which is clear, which is in the SOPs, which are in the scheme of service, which are in the laws of employment, which are in the legal documents, which are spoken, which are in employee handbook. Those are the things which are above the water. Bunky, everybody knows, everybody talks about. But there's the psychological contract, which only surfaces when you go deep with your staff. Let's see what's in that. I hope you can see. I know it's small, but let me just tell you what it's about. See, a lot of us will come to work above the water. This is my job description. This is my pay slip. Job description, pay slip. Now there's something in addition. Performance contract, job description, pay slip. But now there's a lot of things below. Things on the side of the employee, things on the side of the employer. There's the time I give, there's the effort, the ideas, the performance, the result, the commitment. See, we cannot see commitment, but we see somebody getting busy, working hard, but they might be doing it at home also. Work is being done, being committed at home, on their home laptop. Loyalty, mobility, supervision, innovation, management, drive, change, leadership, sacrifice, tolerance, risk, investment. That's on the employee side. As we go to understand better, that word. On the employer side, security, safety, care, training, recognition, qualification, workspace, equipment, promotion, growth, responsibility, life balance, well-being, interest, variety, travel, flexibility, tolerance, status, respect, benefits, pension, control, influence, ownership, equity. So we like to talk about duty of care. In the workplace, who has the duty of care? Who's responsible to care for the other? Okay, I have my job description. I am responsible to fulfill it. And I have my expectation. Okay, but the thing is, workers do not just expect to be paid for what they do. Workers also expect the intangible benefits to be liked, to be loved, to be congratulated. They want you to boast about them, say they are good in front of other staff. Not in there, not alone with them in the corridor. No, they want to feel proud in front of other staff. So those are the kind of things we must see when we are investigating what's the content of the psychological contract. And if we want to solve those issues, we must be able to see how big, how small, how far, how deep it goes. So as the iceberg rises with success, maturity and experience bring the invisible perceived factors into visible employment contract. So we can surface the hidden parts. As managers, we can surface the hidden parts. How? By communicating. See, before, maybe I didn't know my working conditions. And some things were not. But the minute you call me and you tell me, it surfaces. Now I understand 11% of what is required of me. The other day you call me again and you tell me, okay, Alain, you're not getting a course because I'm having this constraint, that constraint. So before I was thinking that you have forgotten about me. But now that I know that, oh, I'm on the list, there is a chance I'll be going. So now I know 12%. So the more your staff knows, the more we communicate, that iceberg can surface more for the staff and can surface more for the employer. So this thing is just not static. It can surface, and the only way for us to surface is to know the hearts and minds of the staff. That's the redefinition of psychology. Managing the emotion, managing the behavior, and the mind of our staff, our family, our friends, ourselves. Let's go. So in theory, what is psychological contract? In theory, it is an individual's implicit belief in mutual obligations, the bracket expectations between person and another party. So that came to be by Rousseau in 89. Based on employee and employer's perception of obligation. So it's both. And how do we manage it? PC is short for psychological contract. Yeah? I know that abbreviation PC is used in a lot of places. In this case, we are using it for psychological contract. EC is employment contract. Psychological contract is distinguished from physical employment contract. Distinguished. It is linked with motivation. We already spoke about that. Motivation, commitment, performance, retention, and intention to live. And this is where that study came, where we tried to establish whether that was the right hypothesis. So what research has been done here about that? So I did a research in 2018. It was called Psychological Contract and its effect on retention of military personnel. That was done in 2018, and it was marked in University of South Wales. Okay, the aim of that study was to identify if breach of that psychological contract we're talking about whether it is the main reason which is affecting retention of staff. And those times it was Seychelles People Defense Force. We wanted to be sure that it was not the employment contract that was making the breach, but the psychological contract. So we wanted to separate it because everybody already knew the whole condition of work for military was in the Defense Act, which is in public domain. So everybody coming to join, they already know you become a soldier, you're going on a 6-year contract, there's a lot of training. Everybody knows that. There's a lot of physical training. Yes, there's opportunity, but there's a lot of training. Now, if somebody join and after 6 years, they leave and they say, it's because training was too hard. You will start to wonder, did that person really understood? Did that person get access to what I'm saying was on top of the water, was exposed? So these are the kind of questions we have to ask. The research aim examines the influence of psychological contract through employee commitment, employer's commitment, intention to leave, and its effect on retention of enlisted personnel. Psychological contract defined as what I said earlier. I'm just going to brush through it, because those are all theories and it's all published, and you can always go through it after. So we came up with a lot of research questions. What is the difference between the content of the employment contract and psychological contract? What is the content of the psychological contract in military personnel? Because we might believe that maybe this applies only for military. Or is it also same for civilians? Because at that time, when I was doing the research, the Defense Force employed 100 civilian staff. 100 civilian staff. So they were also part of the study. So I'm talking about employees of SDF. It can be civilians and it can be military. So I did one study which covered everybody. Then we separated the data to see its consistency. Is breach of psychological contract the main reason why military personnel do not renew their contract? If yes, to what extent is the breach of PC responsible for poor retention? What is the relationship between PC, effective commitment, and intention to leave? This one is very important. What is the relationship? Can one affect the other? Can understanding the problem provide any immediate solution to the retention problem? Because we wanted immediate solution, then we wanted long-term solution. Because we had this, at one point of time, in 1 year, we were losing over 100 staff. It was a lot for this small country. We were recruiting, we were getting so much guys coming in, and the same amount was leaving. And we were wondering, and yet, not a lot of them had reached retirement age. Not a lot of them had reached retirement age. So we were wondering what was going on. Is there some phenomenon going on? Then we did the same research, and it had nothing to do with cowardice. It was funny because after that, there was a period of time where we had an increase in piracy attack. And during the time where we had a large increase in piracy attacks, and the soldiers were getting engaged in terms of military capacity, this is the time where we got most people wanting to join the army. So the Seychelles was not covered. They wanted to join the fight. And it was the exact opposite of what we thought. When there was action, people wanted to join. So we studied all those phenomena. And we did a lot of, I'll just go over a few of the literature reviews. Okay, because PC is very well known and important notion in human resource management. Term PC has been used as far back as 1960s. Even if it's not that popular here, it's an old concept. It was redefined in 2014 by Rousseau. Studies on military personnel, such as Keeley in 2016, Bakewell 2012, has done the same thing. So there was another guy who was doing that same thing when I was thinking of doing it. And he did it for the military of New Zealand and somewhere else. And through those literature reviews, we have seen that a lot of those theorists was categorizing psychological contracts into two. Some were saying there's a transactional, then there's the relational contract. Transactional is the daily things, the salary, the bonus, the insurance, the retirement, etc. But the relational, later we'll see what is relational. It covers things like promotion, career development, it's more than tangible things. Promotions, awards, achievement potential, self-development, good leadership, responsibility, moral cause, fame, popular, and so on. Psychological contract emerge when employees believe that the organization has agreed to provide them with certain rewards in exchange for the contribution that they make to the organization. So there is an expectation. A failed psychological contract has several repercussions. Failure of the organization to keep its promise has an effect on employees' dissatisfaction and disengagement. Different people were studying this, and all those things were coming up. On the opposite side, when the psychological contract is fulfilled, organization commitment increases, and other positive effects like job satisfaction is experienced. See, now we get the reverse effect. Study also examines whether there is a direct link between effective commitment and intention to leave. So this is my hypothesis model. This is the hypothesis model I came up with. 6 hypotheses. If I've written it in more simpler form for us to understand. My first hypothesis was relational contract have a positive impact on effective commitment. So my job was to research whether this was true or not and provide evidence. Second hypothesis, transactional contracts have a negative impact on effective commitment. Again, hypothesis 3, effective commitment. When you commit, it has a positive impact on the intention to leave. When I commit more to somebody, does it make me want to leave or does it make me want to stay? Hypothesis 4, transactional contracts have a positive direct impact on employees' intention to leave. So what we are measuring is whether the transactional part has more effect on my intention to leave or whether it is the relational part. 5, relational contracts have a negative direct impact on employees' intention to leave. And lastly, 6, effective commitment mediates the effect of psychological contracts content on intention to leave. So this is the study. And it was a long study. I used several methods, a combination approach, whereby we use more quantitative method. There were parts which I used qualitative, but then I had to quantify it. Self-completion questionnaires was given, survey with 4 different sections, whereby the person being interviewed had to tick whether they agree, not agree, strongly agree, disagree. The sample used was 10% of the population of the staff of Defense Forces. So it was 10% sample. Ethics approved was by University of South Wales and the British Psychological Society. I use IBM SSPS Statistics 25 and IBM SSPS AMOS. Those are the statistical software which I use then, in case somebody wants to go further and look at the method I use, the equipment I use, the tools I use. Again, I use Kolgumorov, Smirnov, and Shapiro-Wilk to test the normality. The ability testing was done through Cronbach's alpha analysis. Pearson's correlation again was used. PCA, CFA, CMB. So it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And I did it over almost a year. This is my equation. I'm sorry, I apologize for the size, but if you take the presentation, you can read from there. What was the most important part was what was the result. All of those work, all of those data collected, all of those analysis, those software used, what did they compute? What result did we get? The result of this study shows several observations, some which may be slightly different from the original hypothesis. So not all the hypotheses were correct. This research serves several purposes. One, to enable SDF, Defense Force at that time, to appreciate the existence of a PC, because we did not understand that. We always thought that soldiers, they come, you give them an order, they do what you tell them to do. They are robots, they are programmed. They have been mentally tuned, they will do everything. No, they will do it for now, but the minute the contract reaches an end, they'll just go and leave you. So that's a clear sign of dissatisfaction, a clear sign that you have not met the expectations. So this is what was happening. People from day one or day two or year one or year two, they were already feeling bad, but they couldn't express it. So they saved it for the day that their contract and then they just left and didn't bother to tell you anything then. Then if you do an exit interview, you're getting nothing out of it. This is my reason is personal. See, there you go. That was the real issue. Study suggests that the employees of SDF places the same amount of importance on RC and TC elements, relational and transactional elements of the psychological contract. So both are important for the staff when we did the research. And it displayed a negative relationship with the intention to leave ITL. The result also shows that affective commitment has a direct impact on intention to leave, despite not as strong as expected. And again, it was observed that the participants that were high in commitment were low in intention to leave, and vice versa. Implications: the psychological contract is a powerful tool that can provide influential method to help managers understand and manage employees. The present study contributes to the PC literature by presenting and testing models that aims at explaining the relationship between PC orientation, affective commitment, and intention to leave in the Defense Force. Again, can be used anywhere else. Because from research, we saw that the same factors that were affecting our military personnel were also affecting our civilian staff. Studying is the first one which we did in my place. However, the model has been borrowed from Bachelor in relationship to the New Zealand Navy and has been tested for its relevance to the SDF. So the New Zealand Navy also used that model, and despite the result not being the same. So the model has been tested. Like I told you, with those findings, with the result we got, we came up with a lot of new strategy, a lot of policies, which I will highlight before I leave. But we had limitations, of course, on the methodology used. We had limitations on quantitative data. And you know, when you give people a form to fill, how it can limit a lot of things when it comes to the quality of information you get in. People might just be ticking, and getting rid of it. Generalizing findings on research conducted in a specific field, a limitation of the self-report questionnaires, collection of data, a single point in time. See, when I collect data, I might be targeting a group at a specific situation or under a specific environment. That might not reflect the same result if I did it 6 months prior or 6 months after. So time has got a factor effect. Various interpretation of concept and definitions. Of course, the different theories, they come up with different definitions to a lot of those psychological concepts. So we have to make sure that we use the most consistent one. Those are the gaps, research gaps. And those are the recommendations for future research on the same topic. The result of that study was given to the management of SDF, and they applied it. They applied it. Those are all the sources which I've used for this presentation, not what I've used for that study. For that study, I have over 10 pages of sources, which I can provide. It's a 130-page book. My last question. What are the recent developments? What are the recent developments in terms of psychological contracts? Because the study I did was in 2018. And people have been studying more about psychological contracts. A lot of other theories, a lot of other organizations, other universities have come up with a lot of work. They realize now that there's 4 types. There's 4 types. It's not just transactional and relational. Now balanced and transitional has come in. It's very interesting. I've been reading those content, which I will not be diving into it, but it makes a lot of sense. It will be in the notes I'm leaving behind. Go dive through it. You'll see how balance come in, because we've always seen that it is the expectation of the employer on one side, the expectation of the employee on one side. But when you look at balance is an open-ended agreement, which is like a living organism. It keeps evolving. So it's like a bit like the performance appraisal that we are doing it in terms of the government. Like I had to write my objectives. Huh? I have my job description, but I've been given some objectives to attain throughout the year, which I will have my midterm review and my end of year review. So it's supposed to be me and my supervisors to discuss on what they are giving me to achieve. So if you are giving me too much, I have a right to tell you, I have a right to negotiate. You said, yes, it is in my job description, but you are telling me to build a house in 6 months and you are not giving me enough cement. So is it logical for you to measure the house after 6 months? There's no way I'm going to get my full performance bonus or my good appraisal. So you have to make sure that there is a negotiation. Staff puts forward that your expectation cannot be achieved, and vice versa. And transitional is more about first all the potential consequences of organizational change and transition not in line with previous arrangements. So things can change even if we did not agree on anything. So this is how far the psychological contracts is going, how deep it's going. So if we want, and those are just tips from the research and from modern studies on the topic, the only way we can improve relationship, be it with employee, be it with employer, be it socially, be it with students at school or whatever, we have to communicate. Our intention has to be clear. We have to understand the issue. You cannot understand the issue in isolation. You have to understand the issue with me. Because the issue concerns me, we have to understand the issue together. We have to monitor progress, like what we do in the performance contract, what performance contract in terms of what the government is giving us. You have if somebody is not performing well, you can do like, how do you call it? Exactly. You can have a performance improvement plan, PIP. You work with that person, you show that person how they have to improve in this delay of time. Involve employees and get feedback. When you get feedback, you write feedback. You put it in their file. You put it in the database. It's there. It's written. Address fairness and equity. When you are giving somebody a benefit, the benefit has to be spread over the entire organization so that people see that you are ethical. There's equity, there's fairness. Provide support and resources, foster positive work culture. And this is where culture comes. See, like I was telling you in the beginning, I want to go and work for Cebu. I thought that I will get 2 crates of tea every month. That was an old culture. And people have built up a lot of ideas behind that practice. Now, when I join, the organization has a duty to familiarize myself. Actually, it's going low. It's the duty of the company to tell me what's new, what's going on, what are the new policies, what are the new bonuses, and so on. So was the research useful? Was that research useful? What that research made us do, and that's my last page, it made us come with a lot of new things. So it made us start to implement the human resource audit every year. Now we have a human resource audit, which includes everybody, not just the 10%. Everybody, civilians, soldiers, everybody, including the bosses, they have to be audited. The job description is audited, the post title is audited, the structure is audited, the performance is audited. And the whole filing, be it digital, be it the hard copy files, they are all verified and checked. See, we came up with our own HRIS system because in military, we have a lot of things that does not exist in the civil world. For you, you have only annual leave, and for us, we have other leaves, gratis leave, and all that. So all those things have been implemented in our system. Different things. The way we calculate our work, guys work 24 hours, how to incorporate that in the system, and so on. People are issued with weapons, it had to come in that system. People are issued with uniforms, with equipments. All of those things will be tied with the store system, with the store inventories, etc. People are trialed in the ministry. We have our own court system. So all those legal things have to be into that. So a lot of things were done, a lot of work and a lot of money. We opened a Department of Welfare and Social Service. We have a psychosocial team, which even now provide aids to the civil societies. We created a new strategy for recruitment, psychometric testing came in, developed a lot of tools for psychological profiling, because we saw that police character certificate was not enough. Right? It only tells if somebody has been convicted. Otherwise, somebody might be doing a lot of things but hasn't been caught yet. The minute you realize, we had a case a few months ago.
To identify whether having all those things in place can help the military personnel, like with PTSD, the mental health issues.
You will locally.
Yes.
Yeah. Not only that, I did an earlier study which really surprised us. A lot of us, we think that from what we see in the movies, PTSD occurs when people go to war, they see tragedy, they go through traumas and come back, and they become like beasts and they cannot sleep. It's not at all like that. In fact, an earlier research, we realized that people starting getting PTSD by doing recruit training. It starts to trigger. They go into different kind of mindset. Some people cannot take it. Some people crash down right there in recruit training, and they keep seeing things. That's why we have to start inside much first as a base. Then, if somebody has a history, for us, we work together with the ministry. We have two doctors now at the Defense Forces. Both our doctors are certified by the Ministry of Health. So they work hand in hand. If they see that there's a serious case, they will refer back. Even our psycho support staff, if they find that there's a serious case, that means referral to a physician or psychologist or psychotherapist. We do all the referrals, we follow up. But like you say, we are doing it, but we have to go much more deeper than that. I believe that the test we are doing, I was the one who initiated the test. I kept changing it throughout the years to fill the gaps. But still, we can improve on that. We can improve on that. Sometimes the one thing is the kind of guys that join the army. I'm talking about profiling. I profile the staff, of course. One of the issues is, when we use the term daredevils. You know the term daredevils? The kind of guy, the mischievous guys, people who want to play around, who like to take risks. The guy that will give them 500,000 rupees, they won't go and buy a car, they'll buy a bike. Yeah, those kind of guys. You give them the choice between a luxury boat and a jet ski, they want the jet ski. So those are the kind of guys that wants to join the army. Not all, but a lot of us, when we profile, the guys that will take risk, that you tell them take the stairs or jump, they'll jump. So sometimes those challenging people, when you do psychometric tests, a lot of them, they won't give you, they will lie in the test. They will lie in the test. Sometimes it's even better for you to do a verbal test with them than a written test. These are some of the challenges. There was a point of time where I abolished all the written tests and I took them one by one. But when you have, like last time, we had like 60 recruits. It's very difficult for you to go and do 60 individual tests within a week. You have certain limits, but you are quite correct. You are correct. Those tests are important, but they have to be done correctly. And yes, they help us, but even if like the police might use it or the organization, I know that there's a few organizations like SIPTech, they do psychometric tests, but it has to do with the industry itself and what you expect. And like I told you, there's a lot of cases, examples like when we did the test, when we started with the test, we were really surprised. We had guys that we didn't know until we did the test, people involved in the supernatural belief practices, witch doctors were joining the army. Yeah, we had cases, people who say they were possessed, who said they were possessed. So these are serious, eh? We have it. So you wouldn't know if you didn't have a psychometric test. Just imagine you have someone, they join the force, after 2